Gang. Anyways, now that the cinematic version of what is happening is over, I feel like I can probably say a word or two about this piece. I feel like an idiot. This is so off topic, but I feel like I should talk about it because this is what I'm feeling. And if I'm a true artist, then that's what you do. You talk about your feelings, even if you're not actually talking. Back to the story. I feel really stupid because I was like, I applied for this job and it was cool and all. And I didn't want to get too excited in the moment. I don't know where my accent went. It just disappeared. I guess I'm getting really actually serious. But I didn't want to get too excited because I knew that, I've gone on a few interviews and I felt that I felt like I'm going to get the job, da-da-da-da. This one kind of felt a bit different. And so, I got an email. They said I was on the wait list, and then I saw then they said you're hired now or whatever. So there was forms that I needed to fill out. And mind you, this was on Thursday night. Mind you, I had a flight. If you're watching this is after future plans, and this is right before the video of going back to New York. So it's while I'm on the plane, I see that I have to fill out these applications. I'm on the plane, so I don't have service, and so I get off the plane, obviously, and then I'm in my Uber or /Lyft, and I'm trying to fill out my applications, and I did, and then it turns out there's this WOTC form that I had missed filling out. So now it's okay, and mind you, they're using new software such as AI and stuff. So now they're doing that, and so it's okay, so now I have to fill it out, and my link had expired, and so now I have to reapply. But the gag is, do you know what the gag is? The gag is I had lost my ID months ago. Months ago. Mind you, TSA, I got my passport. They're it's expiring soon. I was oh yeah, sure. I was wait, what? And then she said it again. I was okay. And then I looked at it, and it said expires March 25th, 2025. Today is March 26th, 2025. I just got off the phone with them. They talking about telling me how to reapply. I have no valid ID. So now I have to go outside and figure out how to validate my existence. And I'm not even from here for real, bitch. I'm from New York. It's dude, now I gotta do all this shit. And so I just feel like a fucking idiot, and it's just so fucking stupid because I also was telling myself in future plans, oh, I need to be more silent. I literally told everyone, I was yeah, I have a job. No, you don't. And now I feel really stupid because it's just I wonder what would have happened if I didn't say anything, or if I just was a bit more calm and looked at everything that I thought that I needed to do. And it just makes me feel very very small and stupid momentarily. I'm not gonna identify with those words forever, but in the moment, especially because yesterday, me and my roommates to be in the future went to go look at a place. And I was very silent because I really didn't have anything to say, but also because I was silent last time when I said something because of the fact that I don't have a valid income because I work with the school. So I also didn't feel like I had any. Now I just feel like I have no say because it's just okay, if we're going based off who makes more money, sure. So now it's just I thought I have this thing that's gonna help support my future, and it's not that it's going away. I just have to validate my ID and obviously reapply, and I'm already on the wait list, and she says I have a month. But the thing with the passport is that it takes more than a month. It takes 6 weeks, and so that's out this picture. So I have to just get a state ID or something, and everything is not that far away, which is what I'm gonna do once I stop talking to the camera. But I also feel that so then, obviously that kind of puts a damp in when I thought I was going to start working. I thought I was going to start working by the end of this week, and that's not a possibility until I obviously reapply. First I got to get my ID, then reapply, and then move forward. But yeah, I feel kind of small because I feel feel a little bit inadequate. I feel like I don't know how to take care of small things, you know, and like it's just really annoying because I don't know, like, you know, I have lost my ID for months now. It's not even like I just lost my ID. Like, why didn't I take the initiative to get that done earlier? Why is it that now that things are piling up that it's like I'm realizing the fact that like this is something that's really important? And like obviously it's kind of corny to be going to an event and being like having your passport, but it worked. And like the only reason why I felt like I could even do that is because one of my friends had, you know, he's like an international student, so he would have to take his passport places as an ID. So I got comfortable with that idea, but even then still I feel like, you know, it's just part of being an adult to have your ID, and it's just like now I don't have any ID and I'm trying to look for a job, and the job that I thought I had slipped through my fingers because I was either like unattentive or just kind of not paying attention or whatever the case may be. And it just kind of feels like it's validating, you know, opposing thoughts or opposing versions of who I actually am, which is someone who's responsible and someone who can sustain a job or get a job, someone who, you know, is worthy of saying something about how they want to live or why they don't want to live in a certain place or why they don't want a certain room. And I just think that like, just like, you know, since that video, honestly, because, you know, that situation also happened that same day, I've just been fighting like external portrayals of like how I show up or my capacity for of showing up in my small community. And obviously it's a lot of like internal work and internal things that I have to deal with, but I think that like that's just the reality of how I genuinely feel. So it's just like kind of just I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. And I think that like the truth is like I said, like I'm very capable of doing simple job, like creating work that, you know, is something that has value. And I also think like as an artist sometimes it kind of makes me feel even smaller because it feels like, you know, whether it be with my YouTube, like I'm supposed to be in a situationship where I am supposed to be able to profit off of my work online by posting. But then I think about it and I'm like, how consistent have I really been? I post a video, I get like 4 views, and all these things, obviously when you're thinking about subtle comments that friends say about your capacity or capabilities, starts to weigh in a bit heavier than they were before. And so it's just like small things like that I've been trying to like get rid of in the span of like 2 seconds. And the reality is that like it takes more than 2 seconds to get rid of like heavy thoughts or heavy ideas of inadequacy, incompetence, sustainability, or like being able to like provide, and obviously like being trans as well, like masculinity, like if the masculine presenting people or the masculine in a relationship or whatever is supposed to be like it's supposed to be like able to provide not just for like community but for self. And I'm not doing that or I'm not able to do that fully because of like, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm just hurt. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, anyways, I've also been fasting, so I feel that like, you know, I still have faith. Like regardless of it all, I have faith that like things are working on my time and working out for my highest good, and that like just because my people around me think that there's a certain timeline to certain things doesn't mean that I have to operate on that timeline, or that my timeline is delayed or is subservient to the one that is presented. And I think that when you're starting to be in community with people, obviously you have to operate in conjunction and in alignment and in collaboration with them. But I think that also one thing I've realized is that like sometimes I don't, and sometimes the things that happen in my life at my time for me, and that's just how it is. And obviously, like after they said that, like I went on a job hunt and I started to look at things, and that's how I went. Obviously, like there's a catalyst that was the catalyst that put me on that, going on interviews and stuff like that. I think what I wanted to mention is that like when I think of work, I don't think of like the 9 to 5 work. I'm thinking of this type of work. I'm thinking of the work that I create, that I know that I make is invaluable. But it's also just like how am I able to say that if I'm not selling the work? Like I said, if I'm not making the views, if I don't have the view count, if I don't have the monetary gain, then it's like, what is the work, quote unquote, what is the value of the work then? So now I'm putting in 10,000 hours in this, maybe not consecutively, but objectively and abstractly, and it's still not enough, whether it be for society or for my inner circle community, because it has no monetary value. And that's just something that I think that I was trying to explain, because sometimes when I am speaking from my spiritual standpoint, and past example where one of my other roommate was having issue with the sewing machine, and I was like, well, it fills your energy, and she snapped at me. She was like, well, I don't want to hear that right now, because what does that even mean? But it's like, as someone who has worked with sewing machines, knitting machines, we're not the only thing that feel things in certain ways. We're not the only thing that are receptive to energy. So if you're frustrated and you're trying to sew on a machine, and maybe the machine itself is not really generated properly, or it's not having the best day, or it's not really ready to perform the best, it's going to have hiccups. And so when I say stuff like that, and people give me backlash, because it's not the stereotypical response of what you expect when you're dealing in that situation, such as like, oh wait, let me see, how can I help you, let me take apart the machine. But I say this to say, like, talking about that type of work, or understanding how I work and the value of my work, and understanding my timeline and my spiritual way of moving with things, when you're trying to talk to people and explain that to other people, like there's this desire and the need to yank you back into reality, as if I'm not operating from a standpoint of understanding that what I am saying is my reality. The only reality is the reality that you see between your eyes or from your eyes. Your reality is different than mine. Like, your reality is not the same reality as mine. And so when I start to speak of how my reality works for me, people are so quick to try to pull me into theirs and how things work in the real world. It's like, there's no real world, nigga. The realness is like, there's whatever. Maybe there is a real world, or maybe there's the idea of realness, but I don't think that, I think now we can see with social media, or just the reality of our existence, how we're able to actually actualize our own reality. If you're a musician and you're making work and you're making music, and your reality is that you live in a mansion and you buy Goyard and you are able to do that, that's your reality. When you see musicians, you see that they have access to all those things because that's in their reality. As an artist, if your reality is that you go to the gallery, you have gallery openings, you're collaborating with people have it, that's the reality that you envision for yourself. Who's gonna come and tell you, well, that's not real? How is it not real? This is what I'm doing. What? Like, and I don't know. I think that sometimes as artists, or as an artist, it's like I'm a little more sensitive to that, because if my reality is not to be working at 9 to 5, and people are trying to tell me that well, you're gonna have to do that. If it's just like, well, I don't have to do that, but I'm gonna do that because this is, you know what I mean? Like, because of the fact that the work that like I said before, hasn't quantified into something that is monetary just yet. Now I have to put in the other types of work that it's not like I wasn't doing. Like, it's not like I'm jobless. I have a job. It's just like I said, it's not like up to par. You know what I mean? And so just like things like that, of just realizing that, like, how people try to subtly silence, your experience or the way that you view things, just because of the prominent culture of society and the prominent way that, you know, you need to show up, whether it's, you know, prominent being like you need to have money, you know, you need to have an ID, you need to whatever. I know that I'm Safo-Orah. I know the day and the year that I was born. I know where I was born. I know all these things, but for the society at large, they need to be able to identify that for themselves, to identify the fact that I'm real, even though I'm standing right in front of you and I can tell you my name and I can spell my name and all of that. So it's just like all this fuck ass shit that just kind of gets really fucking annoying, and people act like niggas is just stupid. Niggas is not stupid, nigga. And so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's just really it. And I think that like I have nothing else to say. If you take offense to, if you're watching this and you know, you're part of the people that I use as an example or talk about, this is how I feel, nigga. I don't know what to say. Like, this is how I feel. And so yeah, like, yeah, and it's not even about like the idea of apologizing, because I think at this point that doesn't really matter, right? It's just about like, how do we move as a collective? How do we move in a way that's like not harmful to people, because people are not coming from your perspective, you know, of the world, you know? And I think, you know, I don't know. As it is right now, this work is called fabric, and yeah, this is the foundation of what I'm going to use to make a garment in the future. Obviously I have to finish painting it, but and there's way more to this piece than what you see right now, but I have to start another one because I might still leave this up and finish what I'm doing right now, but I have to start another one because it's just speaking to me. And yeah, but I would say, if I had to say something or finish off this rant that I didn't know was really going to happen, but yeah, if I had to finish off everything that I had to say, I would just say, like, as an artist or just as a person in general, like, you know what you want your reality to look like, and you know what you want for yourself, and you know what your greatest desire is, and you know what you value and what you don't value, and you know what you desire and what you don't desire, and you know what matters and what doesn't matter to you. So I think you should just kind of continue to operate from that lens of moving, of understanding that there's a lot of societal norms that people hold in higher regard that maybe you don't, and you know, whether it be being monogamous or be it, you know, how you gain money or whatever it is. But I think, you know, just stick to your vision, and also, like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm telling you, one thing I'm still learning to do, you know, this year. I think my goal this year is how to remain silent, how to keep myself sane by keeping. It's like, how do I remain silent in a way that's really powerful? Obviously, if I have a thought that is relevant and needs to be shared, that is actually abstract and like subjective is like subjective to like the situation, but also might be an objective truth, so it has nothing to do with me and I'm not the subject of whatever the perspective, sure. But like if it's when it comes to like ideas, or like I said, telling people like, oh, you gotta have a job, and it's like it wasn't fully finalized, or like if you submit applications to things, just keep things to yourself. Like keep it sacred. Like I think someone said like literally once you do something, wait 30 to 31 days before you really speak about it. And I'm really realizing that, like I've realized that since I was younger, but I never took it seriously. And even so, like until like now, that it's like, dude, like as much as this might be woozy, and like someone might be saying like, how did you tell people that you have a job when you literally applied for it, you literally got the application, you're literally 2 steps away, like a step away. How does telling people interfere? It's like, how does it not? Like I told people I have a job, and then all of a sudden I had to reapply. Like I hadn't even started the job yet, and now I had to reapply. It's like, obviously these are personal signs for me that tells me that this is why that I need. This is the final lesson of like how to really, the importance of really staying silent and really keeping myself to myself. And like this doesn't mean that if I'm having intimate conversation with people that is actually vulnerable with someone who I can trust in a way that they will never weaponize the things that I'm telling them against me, or that they also have a sacred safe space within them, that if I'm telling them something, they can receive it in a way that is not altering, and that will never alter the reality beyond what I'm telling them, but it's realizing that a lot of the times, even if people are your friends or not, like you don't really know how they envision you or how they view your reality. So when you tell them something, like they might really just take it and alter it mentally in a way, whether they don't want you to have it. I'm not saying I don't know. But I've also heard that, like, where I tell my friend, like, yeah, like, I applied for an internship, and they're like, yeah, well, you're not getting it because you're not going anywhere. And as funny as that is, like, obviously that also alters it. And obviously if someone else is telling me that I'm not having that, that's energetically just in the air. So it's like, if I don't have it, I'm not surprised, because like I said, but these are just examples of why, you need to just kind of remain silent and kind of find ways to actually express yourself in a way that you know what you're talking about. And even if you don't, there's a way to go back to it and reflect on it that is also not altering it in a way. But yeah, obviously, like being 20, these are all just small lessons, and this is only the 3rd year out of 12 months of the year. So I trust that by the end of the year, like, obviously I'll have a job, and I'll already be in an apartment with these people, and just kind of already have a foundational footing as I move through adulthood and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's just still shedding the last bits of being a teenager, or being kind of like oblivious to the effects of things, or kind of bypassing or overriding certain things. But now it's kind of just like, no, like I'm just gonna reserve my energy for myself, and like when it's time to make work, I'm just gonna go do it. When it's time to talk and like party and be in that energy, sure, I'll do that. But when it's time to be by myself and like talk about my future and really understand what it is that it means to me and what it is that I want, I can do that, and understand that I can also do that by myself, and I don't need external validation to validate the things that I see for myself, or the things that I apply for. Like if I am putting in work, I don't need that external validation of the approval, because I've already approved it by applying for that, for the open call, or for, for a film fest and things like that, and understanding how to actually accept rejection in a way that is not like a final end all be all. Like now that I'm rejected in a way, like what do I have $0 in my bank account? No. So it's like, just moving forward and how to move forward and kind of move past things, and even move past shade, be it intentional, be it unintentional. Understanding that I am a very sensitive person, regardless of how I show up or how I maneuver the world, and I'm okay with my sensitivity, and I don't have to harden up for anybody just because people want to be mean or people whatever, and they expect that back. It's like, if I want to be mean, I'm going to be mean. but a lot of the times I don't want to be mean, so I'm not mean. And so yeah. But yeah, all of that to say, I need to get my ass up and actually go to the DMV and also to the post office so I can actually get my passport application started, and I can get a state ID so that I can actually, work and all of that. But yeah, and also just because I'm not making money right now off this shit, or even off the things that I've made before, that doesn't mean that I have no value or I'm not worth it. And or that you don't have any value, because I will get that Richard Mille, I will get that Birkin, I will get that Bentley, I will get the Dodge Charger, I will travel abroad, I will have a beautiful house that has a dungeon, that has a kitchen, that has a pool, that has swings. I will live my life, and if you see it, you see it, and if you don't, you don't. Just know that I know what my life looks like. You know what I mean? And maybe even me saying that is like spoiling it, but like it's not. You know what I mean? And so like, but yeah, like I said, I'm still very valuable, regardless of who thinks so or not. But yeah, I say that all to say, you are worth it. Don't let niggas try to tell you that, like, just because you ain't making no money, that you can't have a say, just because you da-da-da-da, that... Don't let niggas try to tell you what you can or can't do, be it subtly, overtly, energetically. You decide. You know what you can do. You know what you can't do. Do what you can do. Okay? But yeah, that is me and fabric, the fabrication of my humanness. Fabrication of how I deal with self and things of that sort. But yeah, this is for YouTube as always, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.